Hello everyone, my name's Adrian Ryan. I'm a Project Support Officer for Union Learn, and today I'm joined by...
Hi, my name's Matt Poynton. I'm a Projects Officer with Union Learn, and I'm also joined by...
Jane Warwick, and I'm also a Union Learn Projects Officer, and I have a particular lead for midlife and older workers.
Right, so today what we're going to be showing you is an activity called Value My Skills. And what we'll do, I'll hand over to Jane, and Jane will talk to Matt and show Matt what the actual platform looks like, and hopefully it will give you some really inspiring ideas how you can use this with colleagues, friends, family. So over to you, Jane.
Thank you, Adrian. Hello, everybody. Just want to welcome you to one of the series of videos that Union Learn have been doing. So if you haven't already, don't forget to go onto our YouTube channel and subscribe. And that way you'll have access to all the videos that people like Matt and Adrian and myself are doing quite regularly at the moment. We hope you find this video useful. And as Adrian kindly said, it's a midlife linked video, but it's specifically about the Value My Skills cards. Now, many of you would have seen the Value My Skills cards, and they're part of a bigger project which was called supporting midlife development. But what we found is that these cards have been useful for people of all ages, and in recent times Union Learn has really developed the cards to go from a pack of cards to an online tool, and that's what we're going to be focusing on in this video. As I said, they are... Sorry, come in, Matt, please do.
What I can say is, you know, I've been going into lots of workplaces with the old packs of cards, and every time I go in, they're really well received. Like I've tried lots of different workplaces, and it can be factories, it can be offices, whatever. People really like them, and they don't have to be middle-aged, you know. And I often say, look, don't worry about this midlife thing on the package. It's suitable for everyone. Although what I will say, we often incorporate them into preparing for retirement courses, and they work really well as part of that. But I'm not as familiar with these this electronic, the digital version, so I'm quite interested to see how that's the same and different.
Yeah, well, no, I think it's really good that you've mentioned age, because as I say, they're not age specific, and we've found that people have used them to help with job applications, for personal I suppose personal statements for university applications. So really it cuts across the age group. And there are some differences between the cards and the online version, which I think, you know, now is a really good time to show people, you know, don't be afraid of it. It's just a different way of doing what you're familiar with. And for those of you who aren't familiar, we're not going to leave you out. The original Value My Skills cards was a set of 56 cards, and they contain skills that we ask people to rate themselves on. And as if by magic,
old school.
He was prepared. Look, I have them too. But we're going to have a look now, and at the cards. And for the purpose of this, Matt, you're going to be reviewing your skills, aren't you? And I'm going to be there to help and support, and maybe draw a little bit more information out for you. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. Excellent. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to share the screen so everybody can see the screen. And this is where my learning comes in. Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to go onto the link. And for everybody watching, please don't worry. You will see this link again towards the end of the video. There we go. So right at the beginning, what you'll see is you get to choose the language you want to view the cards in. And at the moment, there's 10 language. You'll see there's Lithuanian, Latvian, Polish, Romanian, Finnish, well, you can see there's quite a lot of languages. And whilst they might be useful for Matt, because I know that you can speak a few languages, Matt, I'm going to opt for the English version. And we're going to Matt, I think you're on mute there.
No, while you're opening it up, can I say I actually recommended this to a Finnish friend of mine the other day. So I never expected the Finnish to be useful, but it was, yeah.
There you go. And I mean, you know, sometimes, especially if you haven't reviewed your skills for a long time, regardless of what language you speak, it's nice to know that you've got the comfort of a lot of different languages should you prefer to read something in your first language. So it's really good that you could promote the online tool in that way, Matt, so thank you. As you can see, I have been in before, so it's telling me welcome back. But for everybody that's new, what you'll see there is initially when you go in is a short registration. It asks you about your name, age range, your union, and it won't take any more than a minute to complete. And then you'll come to that home page where you can see all the languages.
Jane,
So,
what happens if
yeah,
I come onto this and I'm not a member of a union? What would I do?
if you're not a member of a union, you can use the drop-down menu there to say that you're not in a union. We never say that they're not a union member, we just say potential member. But no, in this case, you can select not currently in a union. So as you can see here, we have the cards. If I was your union learning rep, Matt, at this point, I'd probably be asking, are you happy to continue? Are you happy with the environment? I'd probably would have taken you off somewhere where we wouldn't be interrupted. But as we're on a video and this was planned, I'm going to ask you, are you ready to continue?
I am ready. Let's shuffle.
Okay, let's shuffle the pack. Okay, so it's what we've got here is an ideas card, and it's working with colour. So what I would do is ask Matt, how do you feel about working with colour? Is that something that you feel underdeveloped or competent or very competent at? Do you use colour maybe for spreadsheets or?
Well, I suppose my first question would be, is with those stars, if I was filling it in myself, which is the really good one and which is the really bad one?
Well, if you feel underdeveloped, and I wouldn't say that that's bad, because some skills maybe some people haven't had the opportunity to use. So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily that it's bad, or it may be that you just haven't used it since you left school, or you know it was in your first job. So as you can see, if I press undeveloped, the star lights up.
Star.
One star will
Right.
light up, and you'll see underneath, just to confirm that that's what you've picked, underdeveloped.
Right.
But if you choose 2 stars, the carousel wheel there will move around and it will go to you feel adequate about that skill. Or you can choose competent, or if you feel really competent at something, you can use very competent.
I don't know. I'd probably go for competent, I think. Yeah.
Do you think competent? I mean, sometimes people want some inspiration, and maybe I should have said this earlier, but when Anya appears at the top, so if you just look at the top of the right-hand side, you'll see a little icon there with Anya. And if I click on there, Anya will come up with some hints. So for this, as you can see, it says you've probably used colour to some degree if you teach or work in finance, you know, with pie charts, and you know it might be if you're a project worker or administrator, risk assessments, you know, using the red, amber, green coding, but also, you know, outside of work, decorating, organizing children's activities. You can see there, you know, costume design, cake making as well, you know, lots of color that goes into being thinking about what would go into, you know, really resemble what you're trying to bake. So yeah, just a few ideas there. So whenever Anya pops up in the top right hand corner, you can always ask her.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think I'm competent, really. Maybe adequate, maybe competent. Maybe just adequate, you know.
Do you really think adequate, Matt? And this is, you know, me knowing you. You put spreadsheets together. I've seen that you've put leaflets together, and
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking like my first thing when he thought colour, I thought art, and I thought I don't really do a lot of art. I did an art GCSE, but that was, well, a long time ago, shall we say. So, and I haven't, I don't know, maybe when you said about, yeah, because I don't colour my spreadsheets, but then
mm,
I do put together leaflets and teaching materials sometimes. They're quite colourful. I hadn't
um,
thought of that.
yeah.
Mm,
And I mean, I have noticed across a few webinars that you do like to incorporate a little bit of colour into your life. I'm talking about your shirt. Um, I know that, but on a serious note, you know, quite often you've said to me, you know, you like to inject a bit of colour into life,
okay.
but it's
So,
ultimately it's your choice.
so it's my choice. Well, go on. I will go with competent then. Not. See, I don't think I'm like. What's the top one again?
The top one is very competent.
Yeah, you see, because I'm not. I'm not using it every day in my life.
Hmm.
It's not something that's central to my thoughts and that. You know. So, for example, I've got a brother who's an artist, and he would definitely be there because it's central to everything he does. But for
Yeah.
me, but it is something I do use, and yeah, okay, I'm competent, maybe, yeah.
Okay. And I just want to ask whether you wanted to flip or pin the
I don't know
card.
what that means.
Okay, so if you get stuck at any time and you want to know what pin and flip mean, in the top left-hand corner is a question mark, and that will tell you about all the different instructions. So here you will see at the top of the page, you can track your progress with how many cards you've gone through. You can go back, you can skip, and here you have flip. So with flip, it's to jot down some thoughts on a skill. So it could be that, you know, it was something that you did, you mentioned that you had an art GCSE, but it might be something that you want to go back to and develop a bit more, maybe, you know, return to study related to it. And you can
Okay.
flip the cards there and use it as if it's a notepad.
Well, can we flip it then, and then
Hmm.
maybe put something like put teaching materials, because that can remind me that was the example that I didn't come immediately, and then
Okay.
maybe I could put, like, you know, explore about courses where I can make my, you know, about designing materials in a better way, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really good, because that wasn't in. Well, that's not in the these cards, is it? The
No,
thing.
no, it's not. And people that are familiar with those cards, I designed a printout sheet that people could note what decisions they'd make, but there was never this kind of follow-up. It really came out in the discussion between the person reviewing their skills and if there was someone there to support them. So this is an added feature of the online tool.
And I think it's good because, you know, when I've done like my teacher training or management training, they always stress the importance of reviewing what you've done later. And this is a good thing that, like, maybe a week or a month after I've done this, I can go back and look at those notes, and it'll kind of
Yeah.
jog my memory. Other than that, I mean, I don't know how many cards there's, but say there's 50. You know,
Mhm.
remembering my responses to 50 cards, I'm not going to do that. But
No.
now, if you've got those little notes, it can jog my memory afterwards.
Absolutely. And one of the features of the new online tool is that at the end, you have the opportunity to review everything that you've pinned. And, you know, so if you wanted to make an action out of it, you could.
Okay,
Are
brilliant.
you happy? Are you happy for
Yeah,
me to
let's get
confirm
going.
that?
Let's look at another.
Oh,
Which
you've got another ideas.
so could you explain to people, you know, why are these orange? Why are they all orange?
Right. What we've done, we've grouped them into 4 groups, and they are ideas, data, people, and things. So what people will see as we flick through the cards is the each of the skills is related to a different category. So with timing today, we're not going to go through all of the cards, but what we're going to do is pick a few from each category. And unfortunately, I can't say, oh, we're just going to see 2 orange and then we're going to move on to 2 purple, because they are randomized. But what we will do after maybe this second orange card, we'll flick through to get to different types of skill, maybe some people skills or some things.
So orange are ideas then, and
Yeah.
hey, right. So what do you want? What do you want to know from this one then, Jane?
So how do you feel in terms of innovating ideas? You know, in terms of, well, really what it says here on the card, creating new possibilities or new things, seeing alternatives. So it's really about you being creative, isn't it? And with your ideas. And I know sort of your interests are varied. So I would say, you know, think about that when making your
Well,
decision.
I'm quite confident. Unlike the colour one, I'm quite confident with this. So I'm going to go for the, was it highly competent one? I think the top
Very,
one was good.
very
The thing is,
competent.
with my current work, for example, I've actually developed from scratch a lot of taster sessions that would go out into workplaces, and it'll be like, you know, say somebody, one of the members of a union that we support might say, oh, I could do with a session on mindfulness, and so I've developed one from scratch, and I think that's probably innovation. So that's why I'm justifying that. It's something I feel competent, you know,
Yeah.
feel confident with. Yeah.
Well, I think it's really good, and I think you've highlighted a different kind of skill that maybe those that are watching, if they're union learning reps, they quite often forget about the skills they develop in their reps role, in addition to the skills they develop in their work role. So, you know, a lot.
All of these, it's not just work, it can be any part of your life.
Absolutely. Draw it in past experiences. You know, a lot of people are members of clubs. They may be, you know, one of the committee members for the local cricket team, or they may be involved in sort of some sort of institute, or, you know, and they're using different skills to what they would use day to day in their everyday work. So, I mean, even down to today with this webinar, you know, we've been innovative, thinking, let's get a video up for people to sort of, I suppose, put any fears they have of the online Value My Skills tool to bed. They can see what it's about. They can see a bit about how the functionality of it. And you're giving some really good examples of things that they might want to think about in terms of their responses. So there's your very competent, and you can see again that it relates. When you hover over the stars, just to say, it will remind you of what you're choosing. So would you like to add anything to that? Because even though you're fine, I will just add, sometimes people feel are very competent at things, but, you know, like with ongoing learning, it might be that you're very good at what you're doing, but there might be, oh, I saw a course recently, and to keep my knowledge up to date, I'm going to look into that further. So whilst you're happy for me to move on, I'm saying it for people outside, because very competent doesn't mean there isn't anywhere else to go. So I'll confirm that for you. Oh, we have things, and my favourite card, keeping fit. Adrian's laughing down there, and I can't think why. Exercising regularly, maintaining a physically fit and healthy body. How good are you at keeping fit, Matt?
Do I go with undeveloped or the next one up? Adequate. I'll go for adequate. It probably isn't, but I'm trying to big myself up here. Although the problem is I have to big anyway, which is why I should be down the other end. Yeah, so yeah, the doctor told me I'm a few kilograms bigger than I should be. So.
Well, I think this is a really good card as well, because to me, this one always highlights, who are we measuring ourselves against? Because keeping fit if somebody's walking an hour every day, in, you know, day to day, you would think, you know, that they're keeping fit, they're keeping active. But quite often when people see this card, they're thinking about people that go to the gym, they're thinking about athletes. And I, you know, break that, don't compare yourself to everyone. Everyone knows their limits, and everyone would have a good idea, I think, of if they're keeping physically fit, and if not, what they could do to improve it. And say for you, you might decide, actually, when lockdown is over, because of the current situation that we're in, I'm going to heighten my walk-in to 2 hours every day. You know,
Well, I'll be honest with you, Jane, there's two reasons why I didn't go for the undeveloped one.
yeah.
And one is, I mean, I do walk every day, and I
Hmm.
actually, I realized I needed more exercise a few years ago, and so I've been on to work walking holidays where I've, you know, walked like say 20 kilometers a day kind of thing, and that kind of, but that's basically the only exercise I do. I don't do a great deal else. But then the other thing is, I suppose, is also about the healthy body can also be about your diet. And
Absolutely.
you see keeping fit and you think gym, but
Yeah.
actually, you know, so during the lockdown, I've done a lot more like home cooking, and I don't put like salt in and stuff like that because I know I have too much.
Yeah.
So I do something, but
Mm.
I do a lot more.
We all could, Matt. We all could. And it could be, if you did decide that you wanted to make a note on that, I don't know if you wanted to, but it could be about, you know, looking into something that you've been meaning to look at for ages, you know, finding some new recipes that involve different foods. Because as you say, it isn't just about going to the gym, is it? It's about thinking about a healthier body.
Yeah.
You happy for me to carry on, or would you?
Let's get that
Okay.
one out of the way.
Okay.
Oh, and
It's
not
another orange one. So if you're happy, I'll move on so that we can get a bit
yeah,
of a cross section. Yeah, okay, yeah.
that's good. Oh,
Things.
the second thing, right? Keyboard
Yes.
using computers, mobile phones, iPods, etc. How good are you at using a keyboard? Well,
Yeah.
I'm actually going to probably go, and this doesn't happen much with the purple ones, with the top star, because I'm a very fast typer,
Hmm.
and that's I write as a hobby, and so because I've been doing that for years, I've become very fast with typing because I do a lot of writing.
Yeah.
Um, I guess, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can always learn more, and maybe there's certain functions on a keyboard that I'm looking at my keyboard now as if that's going to inspire me.
Yeah.
But even some of the non-standard typing ones like print screen and brightening and dimming and you know some of the control and then a letter functions. I do know some of them, but I guess there's more I could learn. But I still say
Yeah.
because of the speed, I'm going to go for the very competent.
Yeah. And I think with keyboard skills, you know, most people have a mobile phone, and people immediately think computer, they think laptop. Um, but within here, you know, text messaging, which a lot of people do on their mobile phones, you know, really comes into play. So where if say if a job was asking for keyboard skills, most people know the layout of a keyboard, and that could be transferable from the knowledge that you have in terms of it being on your mobile to being in front of you on a laptop. You're familiar with the set out of the letters and the numbers.
It could be more than that as well, Jane. I mean, I do Duolingo, and Adrian and I have done a video on it. And I had a play around with Duolingo Russian, which is a different alphabet. And I actually learned how you could go on a certain web page that converts your keyboard to the Russian alphabet. So you can
Yeah.
type fast in that. And I think that's quite a nice little skill to have as well. So yeah, I'm good with the very competent there.
Absolutely. And a good top tip from you there, if people want to change their keyboard language, they can look it up. Most search engines will signpost you to how you can do that and change it. So thank you for that, Matt. Would you like to make a comment, or are you happy for me to move on?
Let's go.
Okay. I shall skip this one. People.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes, so this card is looking at your leadership or your leading skills. So it's kind of looking at taking a leadership role, giving people directions or, directing a project or maybe a team. So how good are you, Matt, at taking charge and giving clear directions?
Well, I'm not in a management role now, but I do have to take a lead on certain projects. So we
Yeah.
did what with the National Retraining Scheme, or I was like, for example, the TUC's lead on one we did about putting together an apprenticeship standard. And I have actually got management qualifications, and I was a manager once.
Well, there you go.
So I'm going to put myself on the top one, although maybe the people I once managed might not. But I also think actually, when you're a union rep, and I was a union rep for many years,
Yeah.
in a way you're like a leader because you're kind of representing a group of people, and in what can be very high pressure situations like negotiations with management and, disciplinaries where it's very emotional.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think there's some leadership in that as well.
Yeah. Well, setting up a workplace learning event, you're taking the lead on something, aren't you? And certainly, very key for union learning reps and other reps that are involved in sort of different activities, like the health and safety reps. They will sort of disseminate and lead on disseminate information, but also lead on health and safety in terms of the union presence at a workplace. So we do tend to think leadership is management, but actually leadership is, taking a leadership role with an element of work. So
No,
that
it's
cuts
about
across a
getting
lot
away
of,
stereotype, isn't it? It's about,
yeah,
this is not asking, are you a manager? It's
mm,
asking, have you taken on a leadership role, which could be different entirely,
yeah.
and I think a union rep's a brilliant example of that. And I
Oh,
think, yeah, for me anyway, personally,
yeah, no, absolutely. And there's so many ways that you can take the lead, isn't there? Any sort of hobbies or even explaining how something works. Children learn from their parents a lot of sort of skills around the home, don't they? So, when you're working with, for those people that have children, and you're showing how to, make a recipe, you're putting things together, or it might be the children showing you, here's the latest computer game, and showing parents, and that kind of taking the lead on something. And explaining clearly so somebody understands, that really cuts across, I think, all sectors, all jobs, like most of the cards do. So
okay, let's move forward quickly. Yeah.
data.
Yeah, I'm good with data.
So
Yeah,
this particular card, oh, sorry, Matt. This particular card looks at reviewing. So you're sort of able to stand back and learn from experience. How good are you at sort of like reviewing things, looking back on what's happened, and sort of understanding how it all worked, and maybe if it didn't work so well, what you could do to change it. So looking at the whole.
Okay, I'm going to go on the top one for that, purely because very recently myself and Adrian, who's down there, and I think some other colleagues, we actually had a look at the data on our social media footprint and thought about, where it was successful and where we could go in the future. So yeah, I think with that one, I'm pretty confident with that.
Excellent. And I'll just point out to everybody watching that Anya has popped up again. And here she's given the extra advice as being able to review can be as simple as when you make a mistake, always taking the time to understand what went wrong and what you could do differently next time. And actually thinking about it, it could be looking and reviewing an email you've just written to make sure it reads correctly before you send it. That's reviewing data as well, isn't it? Is there any notes you'd like to put on that, Matt?
No, not at all.
Okay, I'll confirm. People, drawing out. So this is about your relationship with other people and sort of you getting people to share how they feel or sort of getting them to relay any ideas that they have. So how good are you at sort of relating to people and getting them to draw and getting
I
to
would
draw out.
say I am going to be confident with that and go for the top one. Purely because in a past job, not in the job I do now, but in a past one, I used to be a support worker. So I used
Yes.
to have to talk to people who were in crisis. I used to have to support them in difficult situations. A lot of people with learning disabilities. I also worked in prisons, and you have to
Yes.
be able to work with people there because they don't want to be there by and large, and they're often got a lot of psychological or mental health issues going on at the time. And I've got a qualification in counselling skills and some social services qualifications. So, yeah, I'm pretty confident there.
Yeah, again, another excellent card for reps to draw out, because reps draw out things from people that they wouldn't maybe necessarily share with anyone else. So, again, relating what you're seeing to your reps role as well as your work role, as well as your home life. So, do you want to make a note on that, or are you happy for me to go
I'm
forward?
happy with that one.
Okay. Things, repairing things, Matt. How are you going to say I have a telephone number of somebody who works locally?
I don't even think I've got that far. Definitely undeveloped, without a shadow of a doubt. I really, I can hammer a nail in. That's about it. I'm even struggling with a screw. I'm really, and it's maybe repairing stuff like a document, like a friend sends me a document with a lot of spelling and typos in, and that's digital repairing, okay, but anything, what's the word when it's real? It's like no.
Should we have a look what Anya says with this?
Yeah, come on then.
Are you prone to fixing things around the house? Do you ever work on the car? How confident do you feel about taking on technical problems that need a solution? So I can't get you to change your mind.
No, I'm trying to think of an example. Literally.
What about if I don't know, a door handle fell off?
No, I would not have a clue what to do.
Fair enough, Matt.
I mowed through my mower's cable, and I just borrowed my mum's mower for 3 months rather than mend it because I didn't know how to do it. And then in the end, my ex taped it together.
I can't say anything, but ultimately, as I've said, through these discussions, the final decision is with you, the person who's reviewing their skills. So I'll confirm that for you.
Right, Jane, can I come in? I think
yeah, absolutely.
I think we've got a really good flavour of the cards, and I think we've got a really good flavour of how they work. And I mean, I just wanted to chip in really and just say something that I wanted to say at the start. In what this tends to do for people is they start to realise that they have actually got skills, they are good at stuff, and people are very, very, very sort of bad at selling themselves, because anyone who sells themselves, oh, they're cocky, they're too overconfident. Actually, no, you should be, if you've got skills, you should be prepared to admit you've got the skills. And if you can't fix the doorknob or your mower, then that's fine. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
There are areas people are strong and also areas where people are weak in. And it's about where you want to change them, isn't it? It's where you want to get better at something. That's where a learning plan comes in.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. There's so many different ways that you could use the cards. And I think Matt touched upon one earlier on in terms of, pre-retirement. Many people that retire these days, that they're maybe finishing in their current job, but they may go on to help out locally with different organisations, voluntary organisations. They may be helping out with the family, and that might require other skills which they want to learn or they want to sort of refresh. So again, a really good time to evaluate the skills that you have. But you're quite right, the amount of people that I've met and that have said, well, I'm not really that skilled, but for every single card they've had an answer. They've been able to put something down, I'm going to skip through till the end.
Yeah, we are running out of time, Jane, so...
Okay.
I think what it does show is that actually there's such a broad range of skills under different headings, and I think that's really good that people can actually start identifying them. And the great thing about the language used in the cards, if you're looking at a supporting statement for a job application, or if you're looking for a CV, or you just want to get an idea of where you are, the language actually will help you do that. And there are other sessions that we've done in workplaces following on from this that actually lead onto CV and onto interview skills. And so I like Matt do this session in workplaces, and it's fantastic. It's a fantastic resource that people are really. Unfortunately, not enough people know about it, which is why we're doing this video.
Absolutely, and the conversation doesn't always take as long as it has with Matt and I, but we're really trying to showcase the type of conversation and the way that people think one way, and then maybe through a bit of discussion start to think about, actually, I do have those skills, but I've used them in a way that I didn't initially think of. Just to sort of say, at the end of the assessment, you will get to see a skills overview, and clearly we didn't look at a lot of skills today, but what I will do is just click, sorry about that, I will just click on this people skill, very competent there, and it asks you there, gives you another opportunity to see if you wanted to pin it, and if you were thinking of adding it to your action plan, this is another opportunity to do that, and you'll see the whole list of them. So is there anything that you would have added to your action plan, Matt?
Not at the moment. I suppose all we need now is just to have a look at that link again, so people know how to get on it.
Absolutely. Can you all see that?
Yeah, so it's www.unionlearn.org.uk/value_my_skills.
Yes. And as I say, people, try it. There's nothing to lose. If you need help and support, you can contact myself, Jane Warwick. You can contact Matt Poynton, or Adrian, and one of us will be more than happy to advise you. And if you have any questions, please do fire them off to us.
Thank you very much.
Is there anything else you would like us to cover before we close?
No, that's it. Goodbye.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.